Mancuso,
Here.
Palmer, Swartz,
Here.
Waterman Kalpa,
Here.
Hershey,
Here.
Kenzie.
Here.
Who do we have for resource tonight? Resource, Adema, Kajdas, Stiver, Badia, Zinda, Beiswanger, Marcus. For the town, Buckeye,
Here.
Fidel, here, Quinn,
Here.
Demopolis, Howard, Paloe. There we go. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. I think that we're gonna give everyone a chance to review the minutes, and we're going to approve or amend those at the end of the meeting. They're up on the screen now. So we'll move right into new business. The first piece of landmark designation application to review is for 4548 Main Street, the Squire Shop. I will offer two presentations tonight, one for the petitioner and one to the owner. So we'll start with the petitioner. Petitioner. So if you could step up to the microphone, state your name, and
Let me know if you have any feedback. How's this? Can everybody hear me? Is it clear? Great. Okay. I'm Lisa Dirtle. I live at 92 Chateau Terrace. And, let's see. Well, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity to speak for the local landmark designation of 4548 Main, the Squire Shop. I'd also like to thank SHPO and the Buffalo Niagara Preservation for my most helpful and gracious neighbors for all the tech support they gave me. I was bowled over with the sheer volume of information available, and there's just so much in the local history. I have a lot of gratitude for everybody who helped me with this presentation. Well, the Squire Shop was built in the fall of 1956. It meets local landmark criteria as follows. First, for its association with Edmund K. Karnofsky and the Squire Shop, which originated the modern use of Buffalo branded clothing with the introduction of the Buffalo tie in '67. The tie was the first of its kind, inspiring generations of local retailers. Secondly, the building embodies the distinctive characteristics of a mid-20th century colonial revival commercial structure. Its simplified, streamlined forms of mid-century modern with colonial revival touches like contrasting red brick and white trim, original canvas retractable awnings, and copper flared bay shop windows. And lastly, it represents the work of a master architect and designer, George Gerson Perlman, AIA, a notable architect who designed many commercial structures, as well as a number of suburban mid-century residences. The property, the Squire Shop. Could we have the next film, please? Thank you. The property, the Squire Shop, was built on, is shown in a 1915 Town of Amherst assessor's map as part of J.C. Fruhoff subdivision. That's the first map. And several years later, you can see a structure that's been built roughly where the Squire Shop building now stands. That's shown on the Sanborn Fire Insurance map dated 1923. Before Edmund Karnofsky purchased the property from Ashland Oil Company in the spring of '56, there had been a gas and car service station on the site, but that was demolished in 1954. 4548 Main Street was constructed a couple of years later to house Karnofsky's business, the Squire Shop, and also to have additional Main Street storefronts and office space for rent. Karnofsky, who lived around the corner at 10 Chateau Terrace South, had originally opened a store in 1953 at nearby 4545 Main, but after fires and break-ins, it was necessary for him to find a new location for his business. Next slide, please. Longtime Amherst resident and businessman Ed Karnowski was a professional and commercial artist. A graduate from Albright Art School in 1943, Karnowski received a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Syracuse University in '46 and his master's degree in art education from the University of Buffalo in '49. He was an art teacher at several area schools, including Amherst High and Buffalo's Technical School, now known as Hutch Tech. In between completing his degrees, Karnowski worked as a commercial mural artist in Syracuse. Construction on this 13,000 square foot commercial building began in October of '56 at a cost of more than $100,000, the equivalent of just over $1.1 million today. Karnowski had initially retained architect John Cushion, but later retained George Perlman to prepare the final designs. On the interior, Squire Shop featured hand-rubbed oak merchandise cases, wood-beamed ceilings, a salvaged fireplace from a mansion in Buffalo, and a circular staircase salvaged from the original Sholkopf power plant in Niagara Falls. It's described in news articles as a modern men's store designed with charm and artistry. The Squire Shop was a mainstay upscale men's clothing shop until around 1995 when the business closed. Karnowski designed the embroidered buffalo pattern based on the original buffalo nickel. The silk tie and its pattern were the first of its kind, inspiring generations of local retailers. With its success, Karnowski developed dozens of other embroidered patterns for both ties and other clothing items. His many custom designs included the Canisius Griffin tie, the Buffalo Philharmonic tie, and the Niagara Eagle tie for Niagara University. Karnowski would mail out dozens of those ties to various celebrities. Merv Griffin wore the Canisius College Griffin tie on his afternoon talk show way back in September '76, and President Ford wore a buffalo tie during a TV appearance in 1975. During the first 15 years of sales and an expansion to 20 different color combos, the Squire Shop sold more than 180,000 buffalo ties, and this is one of the 82 styles here. If you'd like to take a look at it, would you like to, I can bring it up and you can see it a little bit closer.
I'm good.
Pretty cool. It's got the original tags on, and take a look. That's the actual original design, the very first one, but this is Well, by the 80s, other stores began making their own Buffalo merchandise, but one shop came too close to Karnowski's original design, and it was ordered by a judge to dump its supply and pay Karnowski $8,500 as a settlement. You're looking at facade plans for 4548 Main Street by George G. Perlman of Nichols and Perlman, and an illustrated ad for the Squire Shop, a children's clothier Miles Gardner, and Pitt Petrie advertising upscale clothing and glassware in the Kennedy family era. As you can see, this building is a fine example of colonial revival treatment from the mid-20th century, mid-century modern era, combining the simplified, streamlined forms common in that era with colonial revival touches, like the simple second-story windows, the contrasting red brick and white trim, and flared copper base shop windows. The two-story brick-clad building is a typical example of the commercial and mixed-use structures which were common along Main Street in the mid-20th century, especially after the creation of a trolley line between Buffalo and Williamsville, and the increased automobile usage along Route 5. Other surviving examples of this type of colonial revival architecture include the bank building on the corner of Rock Street in Maine, 5554 Maine, the Williamsville Village Hall next door, and also the Amherst Municipal Building that we're now sitting in. The exterior retains a good level of integrity to its historic appearance, and while the ground floor commercial spaces have been altered and updated, it's not uncommon in retail stores. It appears most divisions between the historic commercial spaces have been largely retained, as are most of its original 3 light metal second-story windows. Noted architect George Gerson Perlman designed 4548 Main Street. Perlman is an American Institute of Architects member emeritus who graduated the School of Architecture at Carnegie Mellon University. In September '57, he formed the firm Nichols and Perlman with partner Arthur D.N. Witcher, setting up the offices in the newly completed commercial building. He designed many notable commercial structures as well as many notable suburban mid-century residences in the Buffalo-Niagara region, including 703 Mountain View Drive in Lewiston. Residences at 409 and 862 LeBrun Road in Amherst, number 6 The Paddock in Williamsville, and the estate 58 The Hamlet in East Amherst. George Perlman Designed is frequently listed as a sales feature. He even was called in to redesign one of Williamsville residents' house plans after she changed her mind about the location of her living room. Perlman's listed in the American Institute Directory's 2nd edition from 1962, citing his Squire Shop building and interiors among his principal works, and also in the 3rd edition, published in 1970, which includes, do we have more? Or is that the end? Yeah, okay. Could we go back to the first one, the picture of the Squire Shop? Thank you so much. This includes the Temple Beth Am master plan in 1959 through 1969, and also the W.T. Grant Company retail facility in the Clarence Mall, the 14th store in the W.T. Grant chain, and by far the largest Grant city at 135,000 square feet when it opened. One of Perlman's more recent commercial buildings is the National Fire Adjustment Company headquarters from 1982, which sits in front of Muir Lake at 10 John James Audubon Parkway in North Forest, using glass to reflect the surrounding nature. George Perlman still resides in the town. During recent phone conversations with him, he shared that he's always designed for longevity, keeping his buildings scaled to the site and in keeping with the surroundings. He said he became involved in the Squire Shop design when the original architect couldn't fit in with the character of the neighborhood. So he was pulled in to redesign the building with something that better conformed. His design was very innovative at the time, a building with retail space downstairs and second-floor offices. It was on a most valuable corner property, and it took quite a bit to design. They spent a year building it, what with all the rock there, and lucky for us, Ed Karnofsky did nothing to update or enhance the property. It's been about 30 years now, according to George Perlman, and 60, and the property is exactly like it was when he built it. Same as the original rendering that hung in Karnofsky's office. and that it would be nice if it could be properly restored. Perlman retired from architecture a number of years ago to focus on a myriad of other interests, which include a passion for music history and theory, and a budding interest in opera, and learning to play a musical instrument, the piano, for the first time. I regret he isn't able to be here with us tonight, but I'm very thankful that he's been most generous with his time in taking my calls, as every hour must seem acutely precious when you're so close to 95 years of age. I feel honored to have made the acquaintance of such a notable master architect and designer. The State Preservation Office has determined this commercial building at 4548 Main to be State Register and National Register eligible because of its association with the events that have made significant contributions to broad patterns in our history, and because it embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction, or represents the work of a master. At almost 70 years old, its historical importance and architectural significance is just beginning to be recognized. What a unique opportunity this is for the town to save the heart of our Snyder. We've already lost our post office, and once we lose our Square Shop, the history and the architecture of Snyderville will cease to exist. I urge you to not make the mistake that I'm afraid we'll all live to regret. Thank you for listening tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have an owner present? Are you here representing the owner? Okay.
Good evening. My name is James Baglioli. I'm an attorney for Benderson Development, 570 Delaware Avenue, Buffalo, New York. I'm here with respect to this project. The property, I'm going to go through all three properties because all three of them are in the subject of applications. So I put the PowerPoint presentation together, all the reports are tied together, and I will walk through all three properties.
I just have a question
Yeah.
before you start, because I see something that's not there. Are you addressing a development, or are you?
No, that's just the picture from the first slide. We're going to go through the historic. All right. So this is 4548, 4564 Main Street and 22 Chateau Terrace. The property owner, we opposed the designation. We did submit a letter on May 3rd with a number of exhibits. I'm going to walk through that tonight. I did submit a letter on April 13th, and I did submit a letter on April 15th. Next slide, please. I know the commission is familiar with this site. It's composed of 4 lots. The plan on the right shows those lots. You got 4548 Main Street, which is the building which was recently just discussed. Over here, you have 4564 Main Street in this area, which is a 2-story, 1-story building. You have 17 Fruhoff, which is a parking lot in the back, and you have 22 Chateau Terrace, which abuts the residential districts. The neighboring uses are single family to the back and commercial on all 3 sides. It has recently been rezoned a few years ago to T1, 2.5. Next slide, please. As the board is aware, we currently have a project for this site, which would require us to demolish the 3 buildings on the site. This is just the concept plan for that development. The board is aware it's continuing before the planning board, and the planning board has asked for your recommendation with respect to these 3 buildings. Next slide, please. On April 17th, we did get a letter from SHPO. It said that the building at 4548 Main Street appears to be eligible for listing. That statement was made with no actual analysis or assessment of the actual condition of this building. No one went in it, inspected it, or took a look at it inside or out. The letter did not state that 464 Main Street nor 22 Chateau Terrace were even eligible for individual listing. Benderson had retained a consultant, Commonwealth Heritage Group, to provide reports on all three buildings. In your May 3rd letter, all three of those reports are there. Those reports, in those reports, you can see that Commonwealth actually analyzed the architecture of the building, they analyzed the internal aspects of the building, they provided photos of the building, and their analysis of those buildings. The reports concluded the two-story commercial building at 4548 Main Street does not appear to meet the NRHP criteria for individual eligibility due to alterations, present conditions, and loss of architectural integrity. The report walks through those. It says the two-story building and one-story commercial building at 4564 Main Street also does not appear to meet the NRHP criteria of individual listing, and SHPO also agreed with that. And then 1920 residence with garage at 22 Chateau Terrace does not appear to meet the State or National Register of Places criteria for individual listing. Again, SHPO agreed with that. Next slide, please. These are the interior photos of 4548 Main Street from the report. You can see this is the commercial area on the first floor. It does not retain any of its historic character. These are the other former restaurant on the same first floor. This is the shop on the first floor, and this is the commercial space on the first floor. There's no historic remnants left of this building on the inside, and the architecture on the outside has also been modified, as you can see from the report. Next slide. We have redesigned our project, and I'm hoping to reach a compromise both with the town so we can move forward the project. 22 Chateau Terrace is a residence located behind this building. We have agreed to submit a revised site plan to the planning board and to maintain that house and to preserve it. We will submit to demolish the garage and then reuse the house and maintain the inside of the house as it currently exists as part of the neighborhood. Part of that compromise, we applied to the HBC to designate the residential area the Chateau Terrace Historic District, listed in the State National and Historic Registers of Historic Places. That was a recommendation from SHPO. It's a recommendation from our consultants, and it's a recommendation for some of the stuff the neighbors put together. Consistent with the Commonwealth reports, the application will not include 458 Main Street and 4564 Main Street. It will include the entire residential areas on Chateau Terrace and Fruhoff, including our property, 22 Chateau Terrace. Benderson will submit for demolition permits for both the commercial buildings. As noted earlier, our consultants don't believe they meet the individual listing criteria. In addition, maintaining those two buildings would frustrate the recently adopted T1 2.5 zoning. As part of the rezoning, the town board did do a seeker analysis and rezone these properties. These buildings are not in compliant with the current zoning. They don't meet the current criteria. Leaving them would be legally non-compliant. The buildings also don't meet our objectives, owning the property, which is to build a code-compliant project, provide usable commercial space, and increase the residential component, which meets the needs of the town. Next slide, please. This is the site plan that you just looked at, and this would maintain 22 Chateau Terrace as we propose in its current location. We would reuse that either as a residential dwelling or as part of the overall project, possibly as a leasing office or something associated with the project. Next slide, please. This is the area I believe that SHPO believes should be designated as the Chateau Terrace Historic District, and we're happy to apply for that application. I am happy to answer any questions the board has, but I am asking if the board move this project forward. We have been working with, you don't need that slide. We have been working with the planning board, and they're looking for your recommendation on the project.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a ton of information that has been presented this evening and that you have received in your packet. We have also received a correspondence from the planning board. Do we have that? Okay. Okay, well, I'm speaking for you for a minute, so 1 second. So we.
I don't have anything written.
Did we do anything in writing as a board?
No.
No, okay. So I don't think we need to address that then. If we didn't receive anything, as a board, I don't think we need to address it. Okay.
Nothing for the planning board.
Okay.
It might be helpful since people are new to the web, if you just explain what went on. Basically, the planning board had requested that you give some comments and determine that you don't address it. I'm not sure everybody.
That's what the owner had just said at the microphone, that the planning board had asked the Historic Preservation Commission for recommendations, I guess, based on the applications that have been received by the Historic Preservation Commission in order to inform their site plan approval process. And although I appreciate, and I'm sure everyone up here appreciates their sensitivity to historic properties, this commission will move forward when it has all the information and is ready to move forward on applications that have been made to this board. So we received a lot of information this evening, and I think that we need to go through it because it's literally an inch and a half thick. And I have some questions that I need to dig further into. We're not this is not a public hearing. So we're gonna maintain decorum, and the commission is who speaks. Okay. So we. As we customarily do, after we intake information, we will go back to deliberate and read over meticulously all the information, and I guess I'll call it to table, I'll make a motion to table. Motion to table the item on the agenda and reconvene it at the May meeting, or excuse me, the June meeting. Do I have a second?
Mary Lou Mancuso, I second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, item 2 on the agenda. Is the St. Mary's Mother House at 400 Mill Street certificate of appropriateness? If you'd like to approach the mic and give your name for the record.
Good evening. My name's Tom Granville, and I'm a principal with Whitney Capital Company, a development company, as well as Whitney Management Corp., which is a management company that are both involved in the St. Mary's property. Again, I appreciate everyone's time once again. We appreciate the site visit that the commission took a few weeks ago. By way of background, St. Mary's is a 101-unit senior affordable community that we originally developed back in 2003, and it's been operated as affordable housing ever since then. We've faced many challenges since we developed it in terms of maintenance costs, escalating insurance costs, and now we're at a point where we believe we need to replace the roof, and we're asking for a certificate of appropriateness for the material that we're proposing to use. I have Gary Brown here, our roof consultant, who's been advising the development team as we formulated a scope of work and as we tried to stay within some type of budget parameters given the rent restrictions at the property and the challenges that we faced over the years. I know you were not satisfied with the material that we proposed the last meeting, so we went back to the drawing board and we've come up with an alternative Certainty Manor, and it's a higher grade shingle. It looks like slate. And I'll turn it over to Gary to give some background in terms of the product. And if we could look to the slide that I believe that was presented on a historic building in Orchard Park that used this product to replace a slate roof. Gary, thank you.
Hello, I'm Gary Brown. I'm the roof consultant. We've proposed using either a Certainteed Grand Manor shingle, which is a slate appearing. It's thick like slate. James, I was hoping you get the picture of the Orchard Park Town Hall. This was slate. This was replaced with Grand Manor shingles 10 or 12 years ago. From the road, you cannot tell that it's slate or it's shingles. They're actually much heavier. It's a higher wind resistance. It's a higher guarantee. This is a 40 to 50-year roof. The other reason we stated before is we're worried about safety, about slate coming off and falling and hitting somebody, especially in the courtyards. We wouldn't have that concern with the Grand Manor shingle. Any questions?
I'm just passing around pictures.
Okay.
I went to Orchard Park.
Okay. As an addition, I'm sure we could talk a contractor into putting some of these on an area if that would help your decision. Like if they took off the shingles they put on it and put these higher quality, higher end shingles on. I don't know if that would help at all.
I think that our concern has been aesthetics in the past.
Yes.
So I just wanted everybody to know what the example looks like. Because when I went to the site that you're using as an example, I saw an asphalt roof that looked like it had been tumbled in the dryer. It looked like the corners were just beat up, and that gave it more of a relief. But it's, right, it gave it more of a relief, but to me, it still looked like an asphalt roof. So, I mean, because I've read what your report said, that you can't tell from the naked eye, and I was like, I'm going out there, I gotta see this. This is gonna be awesome, and I was disappointed. It was a big visual difference from slate to this roof, for me.
Okay, I beg to differ, yes. Yeah, yeah.
We'll just have our difference of opinions
Okay.
there, so.
I want to say it was 10 years ago.
And there's Orchard Park Town Hall, and then there's the building to the
Yeah.
south.
That used to be the post office, and that had a copper roof on it. So I guess the town order,
Same product, though.
the same product on both, yes.
Everybody got to see? Okay. No, it's, and in fact, I think let's see. No, I think I just took pictures of the one, but it looked exactly the same. Same color, same everything, they just duplicated it. And the building looks very similar to, I had to really, pay attention where's the cupola there and find out which building I was supposed to be looking at.
There's not much in the center of Orchard Park, believe me.
So, does anybody have any comments or questions, other than what I've already said? There's those.
Is that a picture of Orchard Park when it was installed initially?
No, this is from like a week ago, or, well, I should say a week before the application, so a couple weeks ago. And that, if you look at the picture of the shingles that were put on originally, that, over the ones that we've rejected at St. Mary's, and compare it to this, it's literally night and day. That's why, like I said, I'm making a suggestion. Why don't we put a couple square of these on so you could see them in place, and maybe that would help the decision.
I thought you were gonna bring samples tonight. Do you have something? Okay.
Downstairs. I can go over.
Oh, they've got a sample board right
This is the GAF product. It's very similar.
there. Pass it around. It's probably heavy. It is. For 50 years.
Actually, I'd love it if you could bring the Grant Manor, yes.
Is this the color you're
No,
proposing? as well?
no, not at all.
There's 5 colors.
Well,
Did we say what, no, I was looking on the board. Oh, though that's gonna be,
Yeah, that's the GAF version, but James has the Certainty version in his office.
why don't we look at the certain?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. And I am on my phone, but could you bring up a picture of St. Mary's for me? That would be awesome. Can we just do an elevation? Can you get an elevation on Google? Can you drop a sky there?
Go to Street View.
Okay.
you gotta do it on the line. Oh.
I think you're restricted just the square.
There we go.
New every day.
No, sorry, Dan.
Now, some of them,
Thank you.
isn't the big one from before?
Right, so you
that's
included the
Grand
material
Manor
for
And the
Belmont.
Belmont.
So the product that you've chosen, though, okay, that's not our job. That's outside my pay grade. My free pay grade. Okay. Wasn't that in here?
It's subtle, turn it.
So, part of the roof currently has no asphalt on it, correct? It's down to a house wrap? Right, so the rear south side has nothing on it.
No.
Okay.
We put shingles on it because we didn't want to leave it exposed. So these shingles.
Okay.
With knowledge that it will be.
Okay,
I just wanted to show you this very quickly. This is what went on there,
yep,
and this is what we proposed.
okay. So what is this, we'll call it like drip edge material? Okay. It wouldn't be there, so you're gonna go straight down,
Back with the copper accents.
okay,
They did the copper.
okay,
It's already on.
okay.
Yes.
That's basically a whole level up of product that they offer, right? Which is why it's a different warranty.
There's 4 bundles per square. This, where this is 3 bundles. So
sort of additional requirements or products or installation needs that change with the use of that one versus that one?
Okay, and it said a limited, non-transferable warranty, right? That's what I saw. So what does the warranty look like?
So the warranty, I think 10 years of labor and material. After that, it's material, probably lifetime should be.
Right.
But what, to me, the most important thing, especially as I look 3 to 5 months off back in the library, these will not blow up.
It has the higher wind speeds, it has the algae, it has the,
So you're not gonna see the stain.
yeah, they run with like, I don't know, half a dozen different parameters that they're gonna tout as part of a level, I would expect from the level of that.
So,
That is the same shingle that's put on in Orchard Park? Correct. It's this right here.
But this is, as far as technology, those shingles didn't have technology.
what is a trans?
It's not exactly apples to apples.
Where's the asterisk, so? So, have you done a cost analysis of slate replacement to this upgraded product?
So this is probably 25% more expensive than this, but still probably half the cost.
Okay, but we're doing probablys. I mean, we haven't put any numbers on paper.
I thought they were in there before, but
Didn't see, so did I miss it?
It was just a general.
Right, I saw the
Yeah.
general from the last time around. Right, but it was never bid, so we don't really have,
So part of that is, we didn't want to talk to a couple of contractors, until we got their answer. We didn't want them to spend a lot of time. Because it's not only this, it's also, there's some flat areas that.
right.
Oh, there are just a few. Yeah, yeah, like 2 or 3.
And, okay. And the flat areas are bituminous?
Well, they're not visible.
Right. Okay. And your specs for the flat roofs have not changed? And are they leaking?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I just didn't know if there was an immediacy need there.
Flat roofs.
The flat roofs.
No, the immediacy is
Okay. Okay.
Were they a 75 mil, 90 mil? The flat, yeah. Is that what was done before?
So they want the project to last? Yeah.
Well, no.
Okay. Any more questions? Go ahead, Norm.
Question here, I'm just looking at page 53 of the handout. You look at this is the original roof. Look at the color difference. You've got oranges colored, gray.
Yeah.
See in the orange color is
Shingle to shingle, you can have variation over time on slate.
correct, but this, when you look at when you're on the site, once you see like a adult grade, you can see
So,
I just, looking at that, how do you go back and duplicate that? Even with slate?
Is there a coating or other kind of maintenance measure that can be done on the slate to prevent the cracking and scaling?
well, those are our options, table or vote. Or, well, table to see installation or vote. I think those should be the two that are on the table. Mock-up.
mock-up. And if you guys, that would help your decision.
selected a color yet to do a mock-up.
On the sheet.
Oh, this one? Is there any slate left at on the rear facade that we could see the two products adjacent to each other without disturbing additional slate? Yeah, can you go back to the podium? Sure. Who has the photo?
Was that,
Oh,
yeah, it was.
Carrie has it. So obviously, two biggies for me are texture, and we are at a pedestrian scale, so I want to, see if that makes a difference. It's definitely gonna make a difference of sun reflection from a smooth material to a rough material, and the absorption versus reflection, and color. So we've got something that is oxidized over time, and new slate will not have oxidized. However, it would oxidize again. So in your expert line, how long does slate take to oxidize?
Not all slate oxidizes.
Okay.
You'll see this in certain places on the building. This is a model roof. This is one area. Honestly, this picture is a little brighter than it actually is. Maybe just paint or something.
Does the commission want to see a mock-up? But the issue is, it may not be adjacent to existing slate, because where the roof has been torn off, it has been torn off.
Comparison, right.
Right. Is there
Like a adjacent,
maybe near a corner?
right, or some sort of.
Well, there it is. See, some of this.
Yep, they would tell us when it's installed, and you could do a site visit on your own time, or, or we could schedule one, and then we'll reconvene in June. So do I have a motion to table for the purposes of the owner installing a, what do you think, 10 by 10-ish? Yeah, sure, of a mock-up of the proposed certaintied, what
The
product?
Grand Manor.
Grand Manor
It's the Grand
product in the color they select. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Norm seconds, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Okay,
It's
just
all
let
readily
James know.
available.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Oh, want to take that one
Give
back?
it to Tom.
Which one do you want?
That is
Want
the
the
color
GAF
one.
one back, because we don't need that. If this isn't the product you need, then let's get rid of that. And then you guys are gonna leave these? Okay, and if you could leave those. Great, thank you so much. Okay, back to the agenda. The next item on the agenda is 22 Chateau Terrace, a landmark designation application. We have seen this project, it's under old business. We had a presenter, Jessica Black, on March 21st, 2023. I'm not sure if we heard from Jessica on April 11th. I think she was here to answer questions for the HPC. So the information we received earlier this evening was that 22 Chateau was no longer a threat of being demolished by the owner, and that's the owner of 22 Chateau was proposing a local landmark historic district for the entire neighborhood, including 22 Chateau. So does the board wish to, at this time, move forward with discussion of 22 Chateau, or would they rather table it in favor of giving the neighborhood an opportunity to submit a landmark application for the entire district, as has been proposed in multiple surveys that the town has commissioned by professional consultants, and I personally have asked for at 4 meetings, and now I will request it at 5 meetings. So, the pleasure of the board, what would you like to do?
I think in light of the new information we received, we need to review it. There's additional information
There's additional information
in here.
for 22? Who submitted it? We
Is this the
saw this
same
before.
Is this the same document?
Yeah, we've seen that before.
Okay.
That's the owner's consultant's
Consultant's review.
report. We were never, it was never right. It was never printed, we just had it, in our emails and on the, Dropbox. So that is the same report.
Yeah, from June 20,
So I think it's a great first step, for, all the information to be used in a district nomination. So, do we have discussion, or would you like to table this? Do I have a motion to table until the next meeting when we will, is there a time frame listed in this letter of when?
No.
No, well,
There's nothing in front of us.
It was just proposed.
let me read this part into the record here. Let me just find it.
Oh,
I know I
it's
saw it.
consistent with, go to the,
Next page.
try consistent with the
Okay.
Commonwealth, which was that
So
one from
from
June.
Fenderson Development's letter dated May 3rd, 2023, second page, item 2, consistent with the Commonwealth Heritage Group report and all the information submitted by the neighbors, Fenderson will apply for and work with the HPC to have the Chateau Terrace Historic District listed in the state and national registers of historic places. This application will not include the commercial properties located at 4548 Main and 4564 Main, which I don't believe the consultants ever said should be in that district. Will include the entire residential areas on Chateau and Fruhoff. Did it include Fruhoff?
No.
It did not. I think we have to double check that. This area is shown on an aerial attached, and that's what was presented earlier.
We also have
I
the
don't think
statement-
Fruhoff was included.
We also have the statement that they would maintain and preserve and maintain 22 Chateau Terrace as part of their plan.
Well, nothing can happen to 22 Chateau unless a demolition referral was
No, it's just the word.
uncontested by this commission. So I'm pretty confident 22 Chateau is not going anywhere, and that there's no expediency, and I would hate to duplicate the public hearing process at both the HPC levels as well as the town board levels, if we are going to be having an entire local landmark district proposed. So, I'm comfortable tabling this item, so I'll make a motion to table this item until the June meeting
To see what, yeah.
to give the owner of 22 Chateau or anyone else the opportunity to submit, let me see what they, a Chateau Terrace Historic District nomination to the State and National Register of Historic Places. And if someone does, if they could please CC the Amherst Historic Preservation Commission on that submission so that we can know if that happened or not. So that is not for local landmark designation. That is for State and National Register, which is very, very different. Local landmarking is what's being considered by this application in front of us. this is proposing a state and national register landmark designation, which does not come with the same restrictions to the property owner. I'm aware that you submitted the application. Thank you. We're having discussion right now, so we will invite you at the appropriate time. Thank you. Where was I? So,
State versus local.
so state versus local. So the state and national register nomination is what's being proposed by the owner of 22 Chateau, and does not come with the same restrictions as a local landmark. We do not oversee state and national register listed properties. And that was, I believe, what was recommended by the consultants. Does anyone remember that? As a district, I do not think, was the local district nominated or requested? Let's see here. I don't know. I'm just gonna turn on my hotspot here so I can. Okay. Let's just confirm that before we move forward. Okay. So that would be on the Cultural Resource Information System. If the consultants that Amherst hired, if they recommended a local or state and national register listing. I think it was local. So that is not what's being proposed by the owner of 22 Chateau. Okay, well then, is he still here? No, he's not here. Okay, so, no, the one that submitted the, okay, so, that is different than what is before us. I'd like to know if he didn't include the right information, or I do want to ask him for sure. No, he's not. Oh, he's right there. Okay. Mr. Baglioli. So on page 2 of your letter to the Historic Preservation Commission on May 3rd, 2023, you said that you will apply for and work with the HPC to have Chateau Terrace Historic District listed in the State National Registers of Historic Places.
Yes.
So you know that's different than what we.
But well, we're willing to go locally too, so I can make that adjustment and go consistent with the consultants. Yes. I'm sorry, it's really far away. We're willing to go with the Amherst consultants and go for the listing that they recommended. That was based on our consultants' report, but we'll be consistent with Amherst consultants, and I'll make that change.
Okay, so when do you plan on submitting the paperwork for a designation?
We'll work on getting that together now.
Okay. Do you think you'll have it ready for the June meeting, the July meeting?
We're going to shoot for the June meeting.
June meeting, okay. Okay, so I think there's more information to come for this item with that change.
Additional information to review.
Okay, so I made a motion to table this item to collect additional information for the local landmark nomination for the Chateau Terrace Historic District. And you may want to check, we don't think Fruhop was included in that proposed district.
I have my consultant checking that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Yeah, it's clearly defined on Chris,
Yeah.
what the proposed district
Yeah.
should be.
yep. So you are welcome to nominate something else, but that was what was recommended
Yeah.
by our consultants. Okay, So I've made a motion to table this item. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion passed, 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm back with you. Okay. Next on the agenda is the update on the CLG grant submission and preservation day. So I believe that the CLG grants is in process for having items charged against it. And as far as preservation day, Carrie, Sue, and I, and Christiana via proxy have met to discuss and Deb, the Preservation Day on August 5th this year. The planning just continues, so we'll let you know when we need able and willing bodies to do tasks, but right now, we've got it under control. Item number 5, the proposal for the revision of the historic preservation law in the town of Amherst. Do we have an update from the town on that? Has it been sent to SHPO for review?
I don't believe it has yet been sent to SHPO.
Okay, so if we could just be updated on the process when that happens, that would be great.
Okay.
BNHV properties update and research for possible landmarking. Anybody want to say anything about that? No? Okay. That's no new information for that item. Education plan, website plan, presentations. I would like to alert everyone on this commission and staffers and elected officials and attorney's office and planning department, that there is an HPC training with Linda Mackey at SHPO on Wednesday, May 17th. You need to RSVP. If you haven't gotten a link, you can just email me or request from me that you can, and I will just send you the link. We're meeting at the Amherst Youth Foundation on Sheridan. I think this is going to be an exceptional training given by Linda, who has held multiple roles at SHPO and is currently our CLG coordinator. So if you need a link, just let me know. Nope, this is an in-person one. The last one was Zoom because that's how the trainers were from out of the area. This one is in person. She's coming to us, so that's great. At the Amherst Youth Foundation, next to the fire hall on Sheridan, between Evans and North Forest, on the south side, from 6 to 8 on Wednesday the 17th. Did you get an invite? Did everyone here get an invite? Did you get an email? Did you? If you didn't, Mary Lou, just reach out to me and I will get it for you. And I'll probably resend that information right before so that it's a little reminder. Okay. Does anybody have anything else to say about the education plan and website? Because that's usually Sue's area. No? Okay.
I think she said the only thing after this will be later in the year.
Yeah. And we had some Williamsville trainings, so if you guys are interested in those, I can ask for permission for you guys to view those at your own leisure. So St. Paul, St. Benedict's possible landmarking. Anything new on that? Okay. Okay, so no new information on that. Anything for the good of the order from the commission? No? Okay. Anything from the planning department? We're good? Okay, then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have to do the minutes?
Oh, we have to do the minutes. Okay. So you have Jen's corrections that she emailed.
Yeah, they were changed.
They were changed, okay. So they
Did
were
anyone else have-
limited minutes, they were up before. Did everyone get a chance to look at them? He is loading them. I think it's self-explanatory. Yeah. So those were the old business items, there was no new business. Yep.
You changed the dates.
Oh, yeah, executive session, that's why it was so long. everyone had a chance to review and is comfortable moving forward? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 11th, 2023. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:10 PM. Do I have a second? And all in favor? Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay,